r/AskReddit. What is the creepiest or scariest folklore story you have heard, and what from culture/region did it originate? This wasn't folklore, but my friend's uncle told us a story that's creeped me out ever since I heard it. He was telling us how he used to work a large farm in Mexico when he was younger, and he had only been there for about 2 months. At one end of the farm was a older house with dark trees all around it, and he noticed that the animals never went to that side, and he would always see someone walking back and forth at the edge of the fence, like they wanted in. One day the animals went to that side, so he went over there too, and he could see the person passing back and forth. As he got closer he noticed it was a woman, because her hair was really long and dropped in front of her face. As he walked up to introduce himself, her head shot up and she stared at him with completely black eyes. He said her face resembled a horse's because it was so long and disfigured. As he backed away she started to climb the fence and then chased him. She chased him all the way to his house, which was about 1 mile away. He never went back to work. As a Trinidadian, growing up we were told not to go wandering off into the forests. Downs lived in the forests and were basically children that had their feet back to front. Once they learned a child's name, they would call out to them in the voice of the parents, leading them into the forests. Their footprints would lead the child more astray, losing them in the forests for good. They are said to be lost souls of kids. That's just one weird folklore we have, whereas we have many. I wish I can list them all for you guys. Scariest one I've heard in real life. The cave people. If you explore caves you've probably heard them. The quiet little whispers. They sound like a group talking way off in the impenetrable darkness. I've heard a dozen different versions of what they are. Lost souls, dwarves, evil spirits, or the logical explanation, drops of water echoing, and your mind playing tricks. Either way, it's a common joke that we all carry 3 sources of light so that it never goes out. Because if it does, they'll come for you. Or it's because it's true darkness down there and you'll likely get lost and fall in a pit. It's a rite of passage for young cavers to be frightened with the stories by older vets. Though I've met a few who really swear to having full conversations with the specters. No matter how you shake it, I'm a giant wimp and still don't like caving alone, or getting too far from my group, or turning my light out for more than a few minutes. There's a Japanese ghost of a woman who wears a mask who approaches young children asking them if they thought she was beautiful. If the child answers yes, she removes her mask and asks again. This time her true nature is shown, having her mouth slit from ear to ear. If the child says no, she kills them. If the child says yes again, much in Japanese ghost fashion, she follows them home and kills them. Our village has one called Billis. What makes it creepy is that she isn't some obscure, unidentified being. People know women who are called Billis. They have normal families and stuff. So she's literally living amongst you. She stalks people at night. That's when she's usually in a ghost-like form, feet turned backwards and stuff like that. She gets sick a day before someone in the vicinity is about to die, and then becomes very healthy the day they do die. She can turn into different creatures and attack you while you're alone. Then you will fall sick, and if she visits you in her human form while you're sick, you'll die. And you can't refuse her coming in. Sounds silly, and it is, but it is still creepy. And there's another one about music of the dead. Our traditional music has flutes, and some forms of drums in it. It's said that people will often hear the music coming from the distance, but the flute will be missing. You're supposed to ignore it, because that's the music of dead/otherworldly beings. If you don't ignore it, then they'll notice you too. The Drog of Norwegian folklore. Norway is a country that has a giant coastline, with cold seas and plenty of storms, so naturally one of our creepiest pieces of folklore would be based around it. The Drog is the spirit of a sailor taken by storms. Their ships were shattered, and their bodies pulled beneath the waves, never to set foot on land again. Now they sail within the storm in their broken boats, bodies cold and bloated, covered in seaweed and barnacles. If you find your vessel trapped in a terrible storm you might see one, and if you do you will never set foot on land again. The Drog will come out of the storm, grab hold of you, and drag you into your watery grave. This one I heard at Sapfest in northern Wisconsin. I'm not sure if it's well known, since I only ever heard it from my family. It's called The Buried Boy, and it came out of this song we sing while at Zapfest. It's pretty much just singing about a guy sitting on the riverbank with his sweetheart while he talks about his older brother who was murdered and buried by his dad. According to the story, the older brother rose up that night and killed his dad as payback. Except for, his eyes had already been eaten by birds, so he didn't see that his father was dead. So he kept wandering around, searching for his father in order to kill him. So he wanders around the woods, searching for his father in order to get revenge. He bangs on the doors and windows of log cabins, and if he finds it open, he'll come in and murder everyone. Also, if you pass by his grave across the riverbank in the song, he'll know and he'll stalk you through the trees. It doesn't seem as scary in a city, but when you got separated from everyone in the woods and the sun is setting, or when you're trying to sleep and the wind is banging against the door, it gets a lot scarier. I still don't like crossing rivers at night, even in a car over a bridge. The Santa Campana from Galicia in northwestern Spain is a procession of dead souls that roams the forest in winter nights. You can see their faint outlines in the fog, and they are led by a living person carrying a lit candle to lead the way and a cauldron. This person has been cursed into leading them and will spend their nights roaming the countryside leading the dead until they die of exhaustion because they remember nothing when they wake up in their beds the morning after. The only way for a cursed person to lift his curse is to run into another living person and pass them the candle and cauldron. If you run into the Santa Campana, there are a few things you can do to prevent being cursed, such as getting into a church or drawing a circle around you with an olive tree branch. When I was a kid and went out for a walk late in the evening, my gran would remind me to grab an olive stalk and bring it with me in case I ran into them. Also the Madamus, evil spirits in the shape of an impossibly beautiful woman who live in caves underground protecting great treasures. If you go to a cave where a madam lives at dawn, you can see her coming out with her comb to comb her long blonde hair. She will ask you to come with her and become her husband underground, but you must refuse. Those who know the legend know that her beautiful comb is made of human bone. The Little People. Origins: Canada, but many other cultures have their own variations of them. They live in the forest. They like to play tricks on people. They adore babies and children. If spotted by an adult, they scream. If you want to be friends, leave them little things like baby spoons, little tools. My story: we were swimming at my uncle's house with my sister's baby. They haven't had a baby in the house for 8 years. The baby cried down at the water until she fell asleep. Later that night we seen this weird creature on 4 legs running towards the water. It was too big and human-like to be a dog. My sister was disturbed and went to a medicine man. Apparently, the little person heard the baby cry and was curious. He or she went down to the water to see if the baby needed help. Shadow people, shadow men. More recent than a lot of traditional folklore, some of the stories around shadow people are pretty spooky. The gist of it is that evil spirits / demons will take the form of people in dark areas and begin following you and try to trick you to follow them into the darker areas, often taking a human form or calling out from the nearby shadows. Some have claimed to even have had them follow them home and take the form of children that knocked on their door and asked for permission to enter and use their phone or something similar, but always with the attempt to gain permission to enter their home. Though the children appear human, their eyes are always completely black. In the Scottish Highlands, on a mountain called Ben Macdhu, which is often encased in thick hair, there is the story of Amphilathma, which from Gaelic means the big grey figure. Climbers have reported incomprehensible feelings of fear when climbing Ben Macdhu, Scotland's second highest mountain. People have heard eerie footsteps following them. Others have seen a looming grey figure. This is just one account, given to the Cairngorm Club in 1925. I was seized with terror. There is something queer at the top of Ben Macdhu. I will not go there again by myself. Other eyewitnesses describe it as a large humanoid standing over 10 feet tall and having olive-toned skin with long arms and broad shoulders. Pan Twardowski, a Polish tale of a man who sold his soul for power, thinking he had outwitted the devil when the terms of his payment was meeting his benefactor in Rome. Thinking to simply never go there, Twardowski thinks he's in the clear till he lets his guard down and finds the devil again in an inn, asking him what he wanted. He was surprised to learn the devil wished for his soul. It was then he learned that the inn he was in was called Rome, and thus he was sent to hell. Thank you for watching. Like the video and leave a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitter, and join the Discord and subreddit so you never miss a new video.